Howdy everyone. I am now working on these gussets here. I forget the part number for these, but there is one here. It ties the longeron to the bulkhead. And then there's another one here. And of course these get placed on both the left and right side of the fuselage. So this is the 706 bulkhead here. This is the larger forward bulkhead. So each of these corners here and here, they get a gusset. And then the next bulkhead back also gets a gusset here. And of course that one there. So the issue that I found is this. The bulkheads are pre-punched and the angle gussets are pre-punched. And you're supposed to cleco it to the bulkhead and then drill through the pre-punched holes in the gusset into the longeron. The issue is there's a lot of play here and there's a lot of twist. So how do you figure out where exactly these holes need to be when the structure you're drilling off of moves all over the place? So here's what I've done. I brought up the skins. This one underneath you can't see very well, but this is the aftmost skin. And then this one here with the curve is the forwardmost skin. So using the skins as a template, I figure out where on the skin this intersection is. And on the other skin, I figured out where this intersection is. And I use those skins as a template to drill a plate with the hole pattern for the specific intersection for the specific bulkhead. They are slightly different. The hole patterns are slightly different, so you can't just make one template and use it for both locations. So this template here is for the 707 bulkhead, and this template here is for the 706 bulkhead. Now, let me take a moment to get this in place, and I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about. Stand by. Okay, back at the airplane, you can see that I have my template now drilled and I have it clecoed to the side of the fuselage. And you can see that this is for the 707 bulkhead, which is this one here, which is the second one back. So that's 706, this is 707. And again, this hole pattern for this intersection was match drilled from the skin. And what this does, it locks in this bulkhead. So now that bulkhead is in the position it will ultimately be in when the skin gets riveted in place. Now I can fit, these are F656 brackets. There are 2 lefts and 2 rights. Now I can fit this to the bulkhead the way it's supposed to be. So now you can see that it's pre-drilled. Focus, my friend. Hopefully that's in focus. You can see that the bracket is pre-drilled. So now I'll just cleco it in place here on the bulkhead. And you can see how it does not sit flush on this side with the longeron. That's fine. Just get it clecoed to the bulkhead, and then you can pivot it around and drill your holes, or at least mark your holes to drill them. So that's the idea. You just want to make sure that you get this anchored in the same orientation that it will be ultimately when the skin's put on, and then you can start fitting your gussets. So I've done the 2 on the right side. I'll walk you through the process that I use on the left side. Here is the gusset and the template in place. Of course, again, this is locked down due to the template. I've got the bracket clecoed to the bulkhead, and as I've said, you can see where this edge here is not parallel with the longeron. So at this point, when you look at the plans, look at them very carefully, and you'll note that this edge of the gusset is supposed to be even with the edge of the longeron. It's not even with the outer edge of the skin, it's even with the longeron edge. With it clecoed in place, at this point, all you need to do is swivel this over. Swivel the bracket over until it is in alignment that you're happy with the longeron. Clamp it to the longeron, and then you can match drill the 3 holes. There's one hidden under the sticker. And that's it. I've decided not to walk you guys through the process step by step, because by this point you know and understand how I work, and you know and understand how you work. So there's really no point in me going through the process, but that's basically all there is to it. At this point, you just rotate this over, get it in alignment with the edge of the longeron, clamp it down, and then you could, what I do is I come in here and I mark the holes, and I take everything out, and then I drill through the longeron, clean up the mess, bring everything back, cleco it together, and then if I want, I could match drill at that point. Clean everything off, deburr everything, edge finish your gusset, and then you can rivet. So that's that. The most important thing, of course, is getting this match drilled from the skin, using the correct skin at the correct orientation, at the correct location, I should say, to get this hole pattern on your template, and then you can lock the bulkhead down and go from there. All right, so that's that. I'm going to get these 2 finished up, and then I'll move on to whatever comes next. And here is the end result. Of course, not quite riveted, but at least clecoed in place. So using the template, like I said, locks this in place so you can orient this gusset where it needs to be and get it drilled to the longeron. And you can see now with it clecoed how I've rotated this over so this edge here is nicely in line with the edge of the longeron. Of course, I've cleaned everything, deburred everything, edge finished, things of that nature. So this is ready to go. I can rivet this next. Another note, these rivets, these 3 rivets and these 3 rivets are AN470s, so they're the Domehead Rivets. And that's on this second bulkhead. This front bulkhead, pay real close attention to the callouts, because the rivets that go down here on the longeron are the AN470 dome heads, but the 3 that go along this front edge, these are the what are those, 426, I believe, the countersunk flathead rivets. Those are flathead through here, and the flathead goes on this front side, because ultimately this makes up the back wall of your baggage compartment, and there's going to be a sheet of aluminum that goes on here. So these rivets in this location, these need to be flat. So this is going to have to be dimpled. Make sure you get that done before you start fooling around with putting that gusset in here, because if you inadvertently get these rivets wrong, you'll have to drill them out and redo them and come back in here and dimple this and dimple the gusset. So that's it. I've got one more to do, and then I'm going to go ahead and start riveting.